The President of the United States is arguably the most powerful man in the world. I don't know if that's good or bad. I suppose it depends on who the President of the United States is at the time. We're going to talk about U.S. presidents in this episode. My favorite, as a matter of fact, not because he was the best, maybe because he was president when I was growing up. At the time, I became aware that there was such a person. Harry S. Truman. Harry followed Franklin Roosevelt. No, two people could be more different. Roosevelt was a true patrician, an incredibly rich family, and at the top of the social ladder. Harry Truman, on the other hand, was a hardscrabble dirt farmer from Missouri. He was born in 1884 in Lamar, Missouri, but after 10 months his father, John, and his mother, Martha, moved to Independence, Missouri. Harry graduated from high school in 1901 and enrolled in a small college, but he left after a year. He worked in the mailroom at the Kansas City Star, as a timekeeper for the railroad, and as a clerk in the National Commerce Bank in Kansas City. In 1906, he returned to the farm and worked there until the onset of the First World War, when he enlisted in the U.S. Army and served as a captain of artillery. Following his service in France during the war, Truman married Bess Wallace in 1919. After his attempt at owning and operating a clothing store failed, Harry was elected as county court judge in 1922. County judge in Missouri is not like a court judge. It's more like a county manager. In 1934, the Kansas City political machine, under the direction of Tom Pendergast, decided Truman was ready to run for the U.S. Senate from Missouri. Truman won the election in 1934 and served as a United States Senator until he was chosen as Franklin Roosevelt's running mate in 1944 and became Vice President in 1945. I realize I'm moving pretty fast here, but don't worry, there won't be a test at the end. Truman's vice presidency was relatively uneventful until April 12, 1945, when Roosevelt died, casting Truman into the presidency. Roosevelt had rarely discussed world affairs with Truman, so he was unprepared to take on the huge leadership role that landed in his lap. He wisely used appointees and members of Roosevelt's cabinet to help steer him through the coming trials. Even though he knew nothing about the Manhattan Project, his decision to drop the atomic bomb in August of 1945 effectively ended the war and saved an estimated 1 million lives. When the railroad union struck with a shutdown that would have crippled the nation, Truman threatened to draft the union workers and send them back to work. The strike was settled. He presided over the Berlin airlift and the recognition of Israel. In the 1948 presidential election, the press and polls gave Truman no chance to win. His Give 'em Hell Harry whistle stop tours turned out to be the deciding factor when he defeated his opponent, Thomas Dewey. Now, we certainly can't cover every event that formed the Truman administration. Well, in the long run, many historians and other people who keep track of this stuff rated him as high as our 5th most effective president. I've always referred to Truman as our last true statesman. He shot straight from the hip. He didn't lie and never tried to affect a presidential look. He was simply Harry S. Truman, the man from Missouri. Here are some little-known and interesting tidbits about Harry. What does the S in his name stand for? Nothing. It's just there to make the name complete. Truman was a war hero who saw intense action in World War I. When a critic gave a bad review about Margaret, his daughter, she liked to sing, and he threatened the critic on White House stationery. He said, Someday I hope to meet you, and when that happens, you'll need a new nose, a lot of beefsteak for black eyes, and perhaps a sporter below. Look, I never said he was perfect. He was just a regular guy and a loyal dad.